Hello and welcome to the Grueling Truth. This is the Grueling Truth post-race show. I'm your co-host Joe Spilman, along with Steve Risley, and Ryan Peters should be jumping on soon. The Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding a casino or sports book that's right for you. Steve, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great. It's a good sports weekend all around the board. You got
Yeah.
some good racing in the Xfinity. Got an F1 race in. Got an IndyCar race in out here at Long Beach, which is the second oldest continuous track in IndyCar, second only to Indianapolis in existence, much like Martinsville was. Got the Masters in, and baseball started. I mean, what's bad about that?
Oh,
It's a great sports weekend. Next weekend we
Yep.
got to put up with the USFL, whatever the hell that
I'm
is.
excited about the USFL. I think
Yeah.
myself and Mike Goodpass are going to do a USFL show.
I may jump on that. I don't know. I'm debating whether I want to invest time or if I want to keep listening to Sam Teets and Dan Kornhauser on their wonderfully knowledge gained NFL
mock
draft
show. That's a great show.
The mock draft show.
That is a great show, Steve.
I've listened to it, and I think it's a little monotonous. But I think by nature of the beast, it is monotonous because you're talking about a lot of players that most people don't know. However, it's highly informative, and especially when I know the Colts are looking for wide receivers, and he's going to break down the top 50 wide receivers available in the draft. So I'm going to pay special attention to that. So it's kind of like having Surrey for the drafts program. Anyway, let's get on to. We're not really post race this week because generally the races are going to be on Sunday, and we're going to post race on Sunday. So this is a Saturday night, and I think that Ryan had his kid's second birthday party to go to at Chuck E. Cheese, and he was playing in the little stupid balls that you jump into that are just chock full of infection.
I think Ryan was probably just upset because Kyle Busch shit the bed again this week. But
he finished in the top 10.
He did. We both did well on that call.
But let's I didn't do well anywhere else. Let's get into this race real quick. Let's give everybody
give me your take on it.
My take on it. This 550 package really isn't cutting it on these tracks. I don't think it's giving them enough horsepower it's cutting it down. This became a one lane race right from the get-go.
It was 670 this week, wasn't it?
Was it 670?
It was 670 short tracks.
Oh, I thought they stayed 550 on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got bad information. My bad.
I could.
Anyway, I don't know what to do to open it up so the top lane works. Because without that top lane, it becomes a parade. And this became, in my opinion, this race last night was somewhat of a parade. It was basically a single lane. You really couldn't pass on the outside. If the horsepowers matched that closely, and one car, all cars are going to be the same speed. You can't get any kick to get around them. I mean, good driver away occasionally, but now you got outside lap traffic on the outside trying to stay out of the fast traffic way, blocking the top lane, and this became a long run race. Not a lot of cautions in the race. I think the first two cautions halfway through the race, or 2/3 of the way through, were just because of the end of the sessions, or what are they called? The
stages.
The stage racing.
Yeah.
So the stage racing was almost, that wasn't really exciting because Elliott just absolutely dominated the first two stage races. I mean, he led the first, 180 laps of the race.
Yeah, he led the first two stages. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he came in with some pit problems due to a dashboard malfunction. And then that's where the 24 car took over, Byron, and he did the same thing then. From then on, it just became his race to lose.
Right.
I don't know what to do. I usually go to the Talladega, Daytona, Martinsville, Bristol, and those tracks. Richmond. I go to those tracks to see banging and bumping, rubbing and racing. I know, I think that's why Ryan didn't come on today, because he doesn't like that kind of stuff. He wants everybody's car clean, shiny, and pristine afterwards. So, but that's my opinion. I think it was kind of it got good in the end when people finally started just, honking with their bumpers at the end.
Yeah, and I think you're not wanting to say the word, Steve, so I'll say it. I think the general perception of the race was a boring race Saturday night, and I mean even for enthusiasts,
no
like
race,
me,
no NASCAR race is ever boring. It was less fun.
It was less fun to watch. I know I was texting with you and talking with you a little bit this weekend. I was texting with Ryan a little bit. And Ryan sent me a text and said they should rename this race to the Follow the Leader 400. And that's
going to happen in a one-lane track, a one-group track.
And I think your assessment on, of course, I want to get into this a little bit more Wednesday night at 7 for our NASCAR show. But you brought up horsepower, and I think I think with the weight of the cars on this short track produced that type of racing this week. And I don't know what we're going to be looking at next week on the dirt. There's really not a lot to talk about this week and kind of recapping this race tonight. We had essentially two different leaders. We could talk about the ending of the race a little bit. I actually think Joey Logano, if he wanted to be the Joey Logano old, could have won this race. I actually think he backed off. I think he could have pushed Byron out of the way and won the race.
It seemed like everybody was playing nice last night. Everybody was playing too nice.
And I don't.
Yeah, I can't believe how little Byron was attacked by anybody.
Right.
But I think the problem there is, oh my God, am I going through puberty right now? The problem there is all the attackers were mired back in 23rd, 24th place. Harvick and Truex and really Kyle Busch was never really a factor in winning the race.
No.
All the guys you expect to attack, Hamlin was gone. Those are the guys that bump you and run. And all these young guys, they all drink beer and get on that simulator NASCAR racing together, and they're all buddies.
Right.
Yeah.
And I historically Joey Logano is a guy that's going to bump you and spin you out and win a race. And I was a little disappointed. I guess disappointed is not the right word. I guess I was in shock that when he had an opportunity, because he ran up on Byron there in that last lap and, gave him a little bump and it seemed like he didn't throttle through it. I mean, I think he could have pushed him out of the way and won last night. I don't know.
I was wanting to see it. I mean, because I like the record intact of no two-time winners yet.
Right.
And of course, now we've broken that chain, although it's still a totally under 30 crowd of winning races. We're going to have to discuss that on Wednesday on the show.
Except Hamlin.
I mean, that's a big factor right now. These old guys have gotten old real quick.
They're becoming kind of irrelevant. And not to hit on this too much tonight, but you bring up the simulator. I mean, that's 10 years ago, or 10 years ago he was a kid, but William Byron started. He went to a race, started racing on iRacing, and then 5 years later he's running in the top circuit of NASCAR. So it's definitely breeding a new style of stock car driver, I think, and we are seeing some different racing. I was totally prepared last night to come out and if you watch the Xfinity race, see a race more of that style. They almost beat their caution record the night prior.
Yeah. Well, I think these cars have a little bit to do about it. I mean, they were bouncing off each other a little bit on side drafting and things like that, but these cars are so durable, nothing happens to them.
Yeah.
If you did that last year in the Cup cars, you're automatically cutting a tire,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody's spinning out. Then you got wrecks, and you got tempers flaring, and then you got people coming back, and you got bunched up racing again. The last caution they threw, I'm thinking, okay, this guy's still moving. You're going to throw a caution. Yeah, he hit the wall, but he bounced off of it. The car held together. No debris on the track for any real reason. He got it down into the off the track real quick. They didn't need to, but I think they just wanted to bunch it up and get a green, white checker finish just to see if they can get some kind of action going on. And it just wasn't there. So the race itself was clean, almost too clean for my taste. And it was I don't want to less enjoyable race than I've seen in a while on a short track.
Well, and it maybe we're at the, we're 8 races into the season, and maybe you're feeling this idea, I guess, of disappointment. I guess maybe disappointment's not the right word, but we have seen such great races this year thus far coming into Martinsville, that I think our expectations were so high that when you come in, you see a race that there's not much action, you're kind of feeling let down by that, and I think maybe our expectations were too high of what this race was going to be, especially after Friday night, watching that race and watching all the action. So like I said, I don't know what expectations to have moving into next week. But certainly looking at it, objectively after the race and kind of what happened and reading the breakdown of the race, there was a lot that went into the race. I mean, it was a typical race. You talk about Elliott having dashboard issues. Elliott was running really well. Obviously, he ran the first 2 stages, and part of that, part of winning a race, equipment together. He had equipment issues. He doesn't know his RPMs. He doesn't know how fast he's going. And it essentially cost him the race, and he started hemorrhaging spots there in the 3rd stage. So, if you look at the nuts and bolts of the race, were they bumping? Were they wrecking? Were they spinning out? No, it was a clean race. But if you look at what cost people positions and how they worked their way up to get in position of the race, if you're a true race fan, it was a good race. So I think a lot of people, if you're into looking at the Facebook groups that I follow, everybody's certainly got an opinion of why they thought this race was boring. Of course, a lot of that blame goes, they blame on NASCAR, they blame on the drivers, they blame on horsepower. But at the end of the day, thus far in this racing season, we've had 7 incredible races and one that was just a race. So that's kind of where I'm sitting, Steve.
Yeah, I'm with you. We got more to discuss, like on Wednesday and on our show. And the other thing too, I think they need to really work on with these new cars is this thing that how much if you're not driving in clean air, like Elliott was when he was out front, like Byron was, when those guys got in front, hell, they would open up 3 or 4 second leads until they got mired back in lap traffic. And then Logano would catch Byron, or Byron would catch Elliott in that situation. Now, the problem in there I see is they haven't got these cars dialed in that they can run as good in dirty air. And I thought that was one of the things that NASCAR should have looked hard at because they kept talking about it on the show, on the broadcast, that you get out and clean in front, like the 9 car needs clean air. 9 car gets clean air, he's gone. But the problem is he was mired back in 10th place from the pit stop issues, and he couldn't get clean air. Somebody needs to fix these cars so they run better in dirty air. And I don't know if the diffuser is supposed to do that, or if it's disrupting doing that, or what. But it's cars are losing stability and passing ability in the dirty air. And that's going to lead to a boring parade, Martinsville on Saturday night. It was so bad that the camera crew went over to one of the concession stands. And you know, Martinsville's famous for the Martinsville hot dog.
Yeah, I know what you're about to say. Yeah.
And there had signs up saying no beer, no hot dogs.
Yeah.
What
and
the
no
hell?
And no hot chocolate. But
And
I think
no
that's
hot chocolate. It was like 40 degrees out.
Yeah.
No hot chocolate, no beer, and no Martinsville hot dogs.
I saw that.
Why on earth would you go to Martinsville to watch that race if you can't at least gorge yourself with Martinsville hot dogs?
Right.
And have a hot chocolate and throw some beer, throw some hot chocolate in your beer or something, you know, on a cold night in Martinsville, Virginia.
I've never had a Martinsville hot dog.
I haven't. But, I had somebody send me a couple, which you can't send hot dogs in the mail and then nuke them and then expect them to be any good.
Right.
But they were, I've never been to a track and had a hot Martinsville hot dog.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I think.
Yeah,
well, I'm going to have to go just to get a Martinsville hot dog, I think, after hearing you talk about it. I wanted a Martinsville hot dog so much that I cooked hot dogs for lunch today for my kids.
Yeah, if you can't get the Martinsville hot dog anywhere in the United States, Lord knows I tried. So they are. I finally found out who the company was that made them, and I can't remember the name of it. And I actually called them, and they said, nope, we are licensed only to sell those to the racetrack, and that's the only people that get them.
Yeah.
That's
a little disappointing.
Well, no, it's good for them. So to summarize here and get off the air here, because we're gonna talk about a lot of this in greater detail.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, the race itself, no real bad crashes. I mean, when I say bad, that caused some hard feelings from the drivers. We didn't use the bump and run, I thought, enough. Thought the drivers were being too nice to each other. For a race is important. I mean, damn, Byron walks away with 2 clocks this weekend. I mean, those clocks are valuable.
Hey,
and it's like the best prize you can get, best trophy you can get on the NASCAR circuit. And they collect those things. Gordon has 9 of them. So
Junior tried to get another one this week.
Yeah, Junior was running, but we're not talking Xfinity. We'll talk about Xfinity Wednesday. Because that was a hot mess too. That was more of a hot mess, but they're running the old cars.
I thought we were cutting the minor leagues out of the NASCAR show. Are we not doing that?
Dale Earnhardt's not in minor league.
Well, he's not.
There's a big dust up between 2 5'2" 120-pound multi-millionaires bitch slapping each other with their helmets on TV. That's better than half the boxing matches you get nowadays. I mean, that's getting up there with WWE.
Well, only one of them left their helmet on. So, the other one knew that there was a fight coming, and he decided to do what was right and take his helmet off, and then he got sucker punched. So.
He got pummeled.
yeah, he kind of got his ass whooped.
Although he got Will Smith.
He did. Although I will give him credit because he held true to himself, and with a big black eye and a cut lip, he went on TV and said that Ty Gibbs hits like a bitch. So
there you go.
I think.
All right. So my analysis again, just a monotonous, boring race. Next week they head to Bristol, baby, on the dirt.
Yeah.
I am not a fan or proponent of the dirt. I don't think it fits these cars. I don't think it fits NASCAR.
Right.
I don't. I think the trucks would do great, and you should leave the dirt to the trucks. Pick them up trucks playing dirt all the time, and that'd be a great segue for them. But I think you should take it right back to Eldora and sanction the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race on Eldora, and don't waste the time of putting dirt in Bristol. The Bristol race, the Sunday afternoon race, and the night race are going to do this on Easter Sunday at night, Sunday night. if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting. Again, you got new cars on this track, so we'll see what happens. But then we'll save that too, and then you're on to Talladega.
Well, yeah, we'll save that. But your point about Eldora, I think Tony Stewart kicked NASCAR off his track, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm sure he probably wanted sanctioning, and they wouldn't give him sanctioning. So he probably said, "Well, you're not going to sanction, you're not going to run." So I don't know. Tony didn't call me and get me involved in those conversations.
Me either. Which I'm a little disappointed he didn't reach out and get my opinion, but
yeah,
that is what it is. He's a busy man.
I texted him and going to talk, and he never got back to me and at all. So I figured he was fine.
Right. Yeah, I think he's doing okay.
It's probably where Ryan is right now. He's negotiating.
Right. So, I think he was I think Ryan was maybe looking into buying his $30 million house in Columbus, Indiana. What I think. Yeah, what I think Ryan's doing today.
$30 million ranch.
Yeah, $30 million ranch.
I think you could buy Columbus, Indiana for $30 million.
I'm if not close to it. Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy Columbus. Hey, before we get off here, though, Steve, I know this is a NASCAR recap show, but you did catch the Masters, right?
Oh, yes, I did. Of course, I was up at watching the ESPN streaming. I saw Tiger screw up half of every shot he hit today.
He did. He was having a rough time session.
Well, if you saw afterwards, and for all the people that were listening to our wonderful take on NASCAR, we're going to talk a little golf here apparently. So if you want more NASCAR, join us Wednesday. When do we go on?
Wednesday nights at 7. You can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, or anywhere where you find podcasts, iHeartRadio or Google Podcasts. You can make it real easy by just liking the Grueling Truth Facebook page, and you will get an alert anytime we go live.
And hopefully by then, Ryan will have raised bail money.
Yeah.
And be able to get out. So, his friend there, Mr. Police Officer, you could help him.
Yeah, I don't know that I can.
No, the point I was going to make about Tiger was, if you see at the end, they did a little clip of him meeting his son and daughter and mother and some other family type members, and he could barely walk. I mean, now that he had gotten off the course, my gut feeling is he probably played today in moderate pain to tee off, and by the end of the 18, you could tell he was struggling to walk, let alone hit a golf ball.
You could tell yesterday he was struggling.
Yeah, he was struggling yesterday.
And I wouldn't have been surprised if we woke up this morning and he had withdrew, but he made it through it. He
won't do that, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not built that way.
I think how incredible it is, that you talk about less than 2 years ago, he basically had his legs ripped off. 15 months later, he just completed the Masters, made the cut, got his game back good enough to compete at the top tier of golf.
Early on, he was in contention early on until
I used
the leg just got so. We're going to see Tiger win again.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think so. You have to realize I've been to a fair amount of golf courses on the PGA Tour. I have a friend who was an announcer for the Golf Channel, and often I would be a PA for him, production assistant, where you just be a gopher for him. But you got to go in, you got behind the ropes, and you had an all-access badge. It got you anywhere you wanted to go, because you may have to go get somebody and bring them to the studio, or get somebody for an interview, or whatnot. That's not the story. By far, without doubt, Augusta National is the hardest golf course to walk on the PGA Tour. It's not even close. There is no course that is more undulating, and television does it no justice.
Yeah,
you don't realize the depth that the hills are and the elevations of things. They look flat on television, but you get there and it's brutal how undulating that course is.
Yeah, and I think I just funny story. 7th or 8th hole on that course, there's a walking or cart path there, and right next to it there's a pond. So on TV, if you look at it, it looks like you're walking up the cart path up the hill. There would be a pond down to your left, and I mean it's straight down, and it's manicured grass. I asked my wife, I said, "How do you think they cut that?"
But you know how they do it?
Not really, no.
I've seen them do it. How they do it is they tie a string to the bottom of the lawnmower. They have a little bolt cut out with a bolt, a circle, like an eyelet, and they'll actually just tie a rope, and they'll sit at the top of the hill, and they'll just slowly lower the mower down while it's cutting to the water. Then they'll pull it back up, then they'll move it over and roll it back down with the string, and then pull it back up and then move it over and roll it down. That's how they'll cut it.
Are you being serious or are you messing with me?
No, I'm being serious. That's how I saw them do it. Now, by now, this was 1995 when I went. By 2022, they may have more technology where they can, get a mower down there. But when I was there, that's how they were mowing that edge. So, because it is shaven all the way to the water line.
Right.
And like you said, some of the angles on that course are so steep, no human could walk. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but it would be incredibly difficult at the depth and the angle to walk that and not eventually lose your balance, and either the mower goes in or you go in. So, but anyway.
Yeah, anyway, it was a great race, and apparently this kind of turned into a Masters recap. I thought that was
there. You go. But that was fun.
I wanted to bring that up. I'm a golf fan as well. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on our race recap show. I wish there was a little bit more for us to talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit more for us to talk
about.
We'll
break it more down on Wednesday when Ryan's here.
Yep. Join us Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. for our NASCAR show where we'll recap Martinsville in depth, and we will also talk about Bristol Dirt and also give you our top 5 picks of who we think is going to be in contention to win the race. Again, The Grueling Truth is sponsored by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding an online casino or sports book that's right for you. Hopefully we'll see you all Wednesday night, and have a good night. Hold on. Wait a minute. We just closed out the show, and I think Ryan Peters just jumped on.
Did he?
Yeah. Hold on. Well, I'll let him get set up here before we close out, and he could jump on, give us his take of the race, and then we'll get off here. Oh, there he is. Hello, Ryan. Oh, can't hear you.
There we go. I think. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we could hear you. Hey, we were actually just closing out the show. I saw you jump on real quick. We'll go ahead and do this. Give us your take on the race, kind of what you thought. We're going to go really in depth on Wednesday night. Give us kind of your overview, and then we'll jump off. I'm glad you were able to make it.
Yeah, I watched the Follow the Leader 400, and actually while I was late, I tried to rewatch it, and I fell asleep, and that's why I'm 30 minutes late. So I was like, you know what? That's not fair. I'm going to take it in a second time, and I'll be damned if I didn't fall asleep. So
again,
yeah, it was a great race. Outside of it being awful.
Well, he just echoed what we said for the past 25 minutes.
I already brought up. I already told everybody about your Follow the Leader 400.
We were trying to get Serta mattresses or Sealy mattresses as a sponsor for this show.
Yeah, I hope that whatever people have been like, hey, you need to watch a race. You need to watch a race. Martinsville, of all the races, it's been a great year. Of all the races, tune into Martinsville. If that was a person's first time ever watching a NASCAR race, it will be their last time ever watching a NASCAR race.
Yep, it was not a show worthy of, the time spent watching it on a Saturday night.
Well, and Ryan, we had just spent the last 7.5, 8 minutes talking about the Masters because we just didn't have that much to talk about for the Martinsville race. So
that's fair.
As we move on, we're going to go ahead and close out the show here. But as we move on, we'll have an exciting race. I'm sure we'll have an exciting race to recap next week, for better or worse, however you feel about the dirt. So, well, like I said, we'll get into that Wednesday night. Thanks for checking us out tonight, and everybody have a good night.